I want to dig deeper now with Jeff Hall. He's a professor at City University of New York and an expert on the prison system. And Tom Fuentes, our CNN law enforcement analyst and former FBI assistant director. It's great to have both of you. But Jeff, I want to start with you in particular. Not only are you an expert on the prison system, you grew up in and around this very prison, and your dad was a correctional officer at this prison. Yes. So how surprised were you that two people could escape from there?
It was really surprising. I know the security in the prison. I've been inside once during the course of my research. My father, of course, worked there, and understanding the security level there, it is a huge shock that this happened.
And what about the notion that they became involved, possibly even romantically, with one of the workers in the prison who then helped them?
It's surprising, but not uncommon. My research on my dissertation revealed that this does occasionally happen. These are controlling environments that are run and populated by human beings, so these types of errors, I think, are prone to happen in any type of environment like that.
And you have this whole toxic dynamic where so much of the contraband that gets inside comes through, people who have friendly connections there. Yeah. One of the realities. So now let's get to how that manifests itself and what's happening right now. Tom, a lot of people were surprised to hear that these guys would be on the road, would be seen, but what are the realities? If their plan has fallen apart a little bit, what are they left with in terms of how to get from A to B?
Well, Chris, that would be a reality. If they were popping that manhole cover last Saturday morning and expecting somebody to pick them up who wasn't there, then that must have been just a complete panic on their part of now what? Where are we going to walk to? This small rural area. It's going to be hard to hide day or night for very long, and they wouldn't have been prepared to deal with the elements. It's still upstate New York. It still gets cold. It's been raining there. It's a harsh climate. They hadn't, like the Pennsylvania state trooper killer, prepared to be in the woods for an extended period of time, having food prepositioned and clothing and that. So they're out there dealing with the elements, which makes them even more dangerous than they ever were to go in and do a home invasion, to look for food, water, money, firearms, cars, anything. And that would put every family in that rural county probably in extreme danger if that's true. If they're on the loose and they're in the woods right in that area, they're going to be in somebody's home before too long.
And we know the children are being kept inside at school, not allowed to go out to the playground because people are so scared. Jeff, I want to talk to you because in your research, you say that you find it very hard to believe that they would go through such an elaborate escape plan to get out of their cells, cutting through layers and layers of walls, going through this labyrinth tunnel system, and not have a better escape plan once they pop out of the manhole cover.
Right. I mean, because my research indicates, going back almost 200 years, that people who broke out of prisons in the North Country, which happened with great frequency, when they did not have a getaway driver, some way to get out of the area, often did become lost. The first people who escaped from that prison in 1845 got so lost that they ran back to the prison. The environment is formidable. It's tough terrain. If you're not familiar with it, it can be deadly.
Which explains why they'd be walking on an open road. That sounds unsophisticated, but the grass is deep there. It's cold, it's wet, you don't know where you're going, it's buggy. You want to stay where you can, even if that seems like simple considerations. Yeah. Tom, one of the interesting dynamics here then is loss of control. As elaborate as what they did inside, they were controlling it. They're outside, unless they have affiliation, with an organization, a gang or whatever. They're now on their own because they were completely dependent on whoever was supposed to help them.
No, that's true. Yeah, and like I said, if they're feeling like cornered animals out there, then they're going to do something drastic to try to ensure their physical survival and their continued freedom out of that prison. But another concern the marshals have, and all of the officers working on this task force, is that because of these reports that are so likely that they're in that very area, that people might discount the possibility that they still made it out of state or they still made it to Mexico or Canada. And they may see two people that look just like these guys and say, oh, it can't be them. They've been spotted in upstate New York. So that's still a concern the marshals have. Anybody out there cross country and in the nearest couple of countries, if you see somebody that looks like it could be them, one or the other or both, still call it in. They still want to pursue every lead just in case that these leads aren't true or that the first leads that might have been true Saturday early morning,
Yeah.
that the later sighting might not be that true.
And we're going to put that number up for you in just a second to call authorities, but you can also just call 911 if you think that you have any information. But Tom, what are they doing at this hour? What is the FBI, what are the marshals doing at this hour in terms of trying to canvass and find these guys in this rural farm area?
Well, in the rural area, as weather permits, they have, you know, not just the search teams on the ground, but they're using aircraft, and at night they'd be using aircraft with forward-looking infrared, trying to see the heat signatures of people moving through the forest at night. And it would show up even more dramatically as white ghosts moving around on the ground, given the colder weather that you have at night in the wooded terrain. The unfortunate thing with infrared, and we've used it for many years now, in these situations, lost children, you know, not just fugitives, you also pick up all the animals that are running around. That looks like there could be a lot of deer and bear and animals like that in those woods that would also be picked up and have to be checked out.
But they did get some scenting done. They had some scenting dogs there who were picking up some scent, so it's not just a random visual they had either.
Jeff, from your experience, very quickly, how long is it going to take to find these guys?
I would say, from my historical research, this probably will be resolved rather quickly.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Seems like they're hot on the trail. Jeff Hall, Tom Fuentes, thanks so much for all the information. And again, if you have any information, if you spot these guys or have any information on their whereabouts, call the U.S. Marshals at that tip line, 1-800-336-0102 or 911.
What you do as important as what you don't do. Do not approach them yourself. These guys have killed, and they've killed in the worst way.